traveling with baby. A couple people asked me about how we traveled with Joshua a while back, and I said, I'm gonna make a video and post it, and then I didn't, so I apologize, but we're here now. I am in no way, shape, or form an expert on this at all, but here is what worked for us in case it is of any help to you. So we went to Italy with Joshua when he was 8 months old, and then Ireland when he was 12 months old, and then I had a short flight to Indianapolis in between there. So a couple things I wrote down just to keep in my mind for future, and again, if it can be of help to you. So first is the mindset, just that idea of no matter what you try and how much you prepare, things still might not go your way at all. So the more that we know that going in and can accept that, the less frustrating the frustrations feel. Okay, if you're on a plane, first is diaper bag, fill it with everything that you think you might need during the flight, because that diaper bag will be at your feet and it will save you from having to go up and down. The first flight I had kind of my stuff in my carry-on, which then ended up above my head, and Joshua's stuff underneath. So then when I wanted something, I had to get up and do that. And so I love an excuse to stand up on a flight, but not for that. So have as much as you can in a diaper bag. And Indianapolis flight was Spirit, super cheap. Even on Spirit, they have to allow you the diaper bag and not count it towards your allowance for anything. So know that I packed most of my clothes in his diaper bag as well. They didn't care how big the diaper bag was. I shoved as much as I could, and that was big because then I didn't have to pay for that bag. Stroller. So we had a couple of different things here. One, we had such a blessing of getting to use a friend's Doona. Doona is that stroller that has a car seat in it, and then it collapses into, or rather it has the legs, a car seat and the legs, and then it collapses into just using the car seat. So since we were renting a car on the other side of our 2 Europe trips, we were able to pack everything, or rather just bring that, and we didn't have to bring a stroller and a car seat. Indianapolis, I lucked out, and the aunt and uncle we were staying with, they had all of that. So all we had to do was put Joshua in a carrier at the airport and bring him on the plane. So what we did with the Doona is we got a bag, one of the gate check bags. We had Joshua in the Doona up until we started to board the plane. Right before we got in line to board the plane, we switched him to the carrier and folded up the Doona, put it in the bag, and then checked it at the gate. That worked for us both ways. You hear different stories about people's preferences there, but that was really handy. And then we could just walk right to the rental car or taxi Uber from the airport and then just collapse it. When we were out and about in the towns, we never had to switch Joshua like from a car seat to a separate stroller. So if he'd fallen asleep or something like that, it was really handy just to keep him in the car seat, because the car seat was the Doona, and then it would just open up to the stroller and then collapse it back in and not have to get him in and out of there. It is bulky. It did like hit the car a couple times when we were trying to get it in, but it still was very helpful from a travel standpoint. Back to the airplane, disinfectant wipes. I packed a lot of them and I used a lot of them. Basically anything that I thought Joshua might touch on the plane, I gave it a good wipe down, including there was a screen in front of us. Especially on the Ireland trip, he was a little older and he was much more just aware of everything and wanting to be in everything. So I wiped down the screen as well, and I'm not one to give him screen time, but desperate times, desperate measures. There were times during that flight that I just let him look at it, and it was a touch screen, so he could, all the little boxes that showed the different movies, he just had fun for a couple minutes, back and forth, and it kept him quiet and very happy and giggling for a couple minutes, so it was very handy. The other desperate times, desperate measures moment is just snacking in general. Usually I keep it to, we have snacks when we're sitting in our high chair and all of that. Well, this was a keep him happy, so packing a lot of snacks was very helpful for sure, especially ones that are a little better at distracting him than others. Another thing on the plane, lots of walking up and back down the aisles. It's really good for you anyway as a passenger on a flight to take walks on the plane. Please never just sit down the whole flight. There's personal trainer Kate coming in, but having a baby is a great excuse to make that happen, and the baby's much more entertained, and also the other passengers are much more entertained. We made friends with so many people. People thought it was hilarious and adorable comfortable and, standing in little vestibules and bouncing him up and down. And he got to look at everything and then look at people. And on the most recent trip, he had begun waving. So he's waving at people and they're chuckling. So it was just, good vibes all around, which was very nice. What else did I write down here? Okay, change the diaper right before boarding, very helpful. Walking the aisles. Oh, Joshua, his best chance of sleeping when he's not in his bed is in the carrier. So the carrier was key for us. We'd put him in that, and then the more I bounced and walk up and down the aisles, then he would fall asleep. And that goes with the plane and then also wherever you're going, keeping as close to a nap schedule as possible. The nap and bedtime schedule you would at home. Granted, with time changes, that gets complicated, but what we found was very helpful was getting that first night sleep through and then try to then reset to the time at the destination after that. Italy went really smoothly, Ireland not so much, but eventually we got there with Ireland, but definitely trying to keep, okay, it's about 10 o'clock, so that's usually one nap time, about 3 o'clock's another nap time, trying to keep those in, getting him in a nap mode. So I'd start really rocking him and, in the carrier, wherever we were, or in the stroller, keep moving. That's very helpful for Joshua. So whatever those tactics are for your child, really helping to stay as much to a schedule as possible, because you know how babies are when they're overtired. So getting anything we could there was helpful. But just like at home, you wouldn't have them nap right before you want them to go to bed. So being aware of when the naps are. And we had to wake him up a couple times and it was worth it. You can ask the flight attendants for milk. That was very helpful. The first flight, Joshua was still fully in formula and breast milk. The second flight, he was pretty much fully into milk. We still had a little formula with us as backup, which was very helpful since we didn't have to refrigerate the powder of the formula. That way, if we didn't get to a place that had milk, we knew we had the formula in reserve. But I never knew my life was going to revolve around milk so much, and it does. What's great about Europe is they tend to have better standards than the US for their foods. So we always were able to find fresh milk from right down the road, and we were able to find different organic products. So that leads to another point of grocery stores. Identify it on the map where one is, and make sure you go there when you get there, get your snacks, get your fresh foods for the baby so that they have good foods, because a healthier, happier belly means a healthier, happier baby, and it's so worth it. So we made sure we got even some pouches from Ireland and Italy, which again were organic, and just again the standards are better there. So go to town, that's good. And taking shifts as much as you can on the plane and while you're traveling with whoever else is flying with you. If you're flying by yourself, God bless you, you're amazing. If you have someone else that you can pass back and forth, that is very helpful. And then the last couple things are at booking, just some logistics. Ask about cribs. In Europe or a city like New York City, if you're coming here, there can be much smaller rooms. And what I learned when booking is that some rooms you can't even fit a crib, and they notated that online. So just something to make sure you're aware of and ask. That I thought was very eye-opening to me. I wouldn't have thought I had to make sure that the room was big enough for a pack and play. And let's see, one place we went did have a pack and play, the other place didn't, but it still made sense to book that place. So it actually was cheaper for me to just buy a pack and play and have it shipped there and then leave it there than it was for me to rent a pack and play or even find another place to stay. I think it was $40 total for me to buy the pack and play and have it sent there. So that was very good. Bringing your own sheet for that pack and play if you want to make sure that it's made with or washed with good detergent for your baby. That was also helpful to me too. And again, all the disinfectant wipes when you walk in the room was very helpful. And then high chairs in restaurants. We actually, in the Ireland trip, we were at the point. Italy, he was a little smaller, so it was easier to just kind of hold him if needed. Now he's so wiggly. There was a place we went into in Ireland and we said, do you have high chairs? And they said no. And we're sorry, we can't eat here. So that's where we're at now. So high chairs or having a collapsible little high chair that you can put on the chair is key, especially as they get older. At least for us, maybe you have a baby who sits in the stroller and will sit next to your table and be happy. Ours won't do that for very long. And we did a walking tour in Ireland, which was great because Joshua loves movement, and that was really helpful to get in a nap. So those are some things that helped us. I hope that there was some nugget of help in here for you. And if you have any questions, again, I am not an expert at all, but if you need any clarification or ideas, feel free to reach out.